Welcome back to another episode of the Two Alphas Talk. This time we're going to talk to you about a subject, two alpha, Second Amendment, Second Amendment lifestyle, and we're going to break that down in some detail and go into it. Also, too, we are live on YouTube, the Two Alphas Talk. We are live on Twitch under Saber Team 19. We are also live on Facebook, Saber Team Tactical business page. You can go there and get to us. Also, the number, if you guys wanted to call in, is 404 And we're going to go ahead and get an opening real quick. Then we're going to go into the subject. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and I need to pull this down. What's up with that? Okay. All right. So this is a big one. You see Al's face? He's like waiting on me to get into it. You go ahead and throw your claws out there real quick.
I think this is what it comes down. There's a lot of folks that are out there that believe that they're in doing a positive thing, and yet they're not. So I think when we get into it a little bit later on, you'll actually see how you can fit in or where you fit in currently. It's one of those things where it's there are different levels to this, so you can get in where you fit in, but at the same time, to be all round, you have to have a little bit of each and every one of them. You got to be able to practice. You got to understand what's going on in the world and politics, and we also have a place for people who do a little bit of all of it.
Right. So the getting into the Second Amendment is a very it's a very deep subject here, and it's basically if we don't watch what we're doing, we're going to lose this country to it. We're going to play you guys an audio of a beautiful politician who told a Australian news guy where he can go. So
AKA journalist.
right, a journalist. Let me go ahead and pull. What was her name again? Where's my downloads? There you go. And we're gonna air this. We're just gonna air the audio. We're not gonna air the video. So.
Your man Donald said,
What, did you Donald?
well, he is. I mean, he's endorsed you personally. He said a few days ago that those people at the Capitol should be pardoned.
What I don't like is that people are being held in prison without being charged. That's un-American. Maybe they get away with that stuff in Australia. Perhaps in Australia, because you've given your rights away, you melted down all of your guns, and you guys have no freedom, that you find that okay. But here in America, we do things differently. We have something called the U.S. Constitution, and we have rights.
So we'd be better off having more guns here. I mean, what? You would be better off?
Yeah, you would. You absolutely would, sir. You absolutely would. I feel so sorry for the people in Australia. Have no power. The only thing keeping us from being Australia right now is our Second Amendment. And we will never, ever let that go. That guy's a complete nut. Seriously, a complete insane person.
There you go. That's Carrie. What was her last name?
Your man Donald said.
Carrie Lake. And she told it where it was. If you guys been paying attention, most of you Second Amendment supporters been paying attention that what's been going on during our last 2 years in our COVID times. And that should give everybody an eye opener and a wake up, because the first eye opener and wake up happened in Katrina. And so this is the second one. So the third one is probably going to be more drastic than this one. but it's where they taken away all your rights, your First Amendment rights, and all the way down to your Fourth Amendment rights. And the only reason they did not go any farther is because we had guns. And everybody knew this. That's why you seen first time gun owners going out buying guns. We were selling what is 8 million per year, something like that. And everybody was going out buying guns. Even people who I knew were anti-guns were going out and buying guns.
Right.
It was ridiculous
But
because
at
they
this point,
all saw.
if the S hits the fan, they want to be ready, and that's what they're thinking. You know, with the dread of COVID, people were looking at it, and some people even thought in the beginning that this is the zombie apocalypse is upon us. So now you want to go out and arm yourself, and that's why
Right.
a lot of these people went out and bought guns, and then we had all the strife across the world, and you see in food shortages and things like that. Now you have to defend yourself. But if you think about it and you've been around the Second Amendment for a long time, you understand that the government does not have a right nor the will to protect each individual citizen. So it's up to you to protect yourself. At least hold the fort down until reinforcements get there. So when you call the police, you have an expectation of maybe 3 minutes that you have to wait until the officer gets there. That's for an urgent call. You call the police about some missing door knocker or something was stolen off your porch. You might get a response the following day, depending on where you live. But if you're in an emergency situation, they're going to come as soon as they can. But if they're stressed out and they don't have the manpower, now you have to fend for yourself. How long can you hold out? That's the key. And if you don't have any
Right.
implements to defend yourself, at this point you're a victim. You're a dead duck. You're sitting in the water just waiting and hoping that they're not too mean to you.
Right. And so what a lot of people have been doing was they're going out and they're just buying guns just frantically. They're just buying anything they can get their hands on.
Yeah.
Not
I've been in some
realize.
of those Facebook groups, and it's the ones that we always talk about,
Hmm.
and they're still under the pretense that you need 1,000 rounds per gun. Like one guy was trying to explain to the rest of them, hey, is it one gun, 1,000 rounds per caliber, or 1,000 rounds per? And this guy who's like the leader of this group is telling him 1,000 rounds per gun. So that means if you have 10 guns, you need 10,000 rounds. My comment to them was, what happens when you have to bug out? What happens when what we're seeing in Ukraine right now? Okay, we don't want that here. We want peaceful resolution all over, right? I got all that stuff. But what happens when you have to leave, like those folks are? They're attacking your town or they're attacking your community, and you have to leave. So you got 10,000 rounds that you can't eat, you can't drink, you have to carry. You're going to carry 10,000 rounds. I think that's almost close to about what, 400 pounds?
Yeah.
Depending on the size of the bullet.
Yeah.
So
It
you got
depends on what the
45
bullet is.
caliber bullets, and each
Yeah.
one is a 230 grain bullet, and you multiply that by 1,000. You got
You
300 blackout, and you got 162 grain bullets. You got 762 with what, 122 grain bullets. You gonna carry that
it's
weight, or you
no
gonna
way.
leave it for a marauder like me? Because I'm
Yeah.
gonna find your sheet, and then I'm gonna
Right.
be there. Because
Right.
the thing is, people don't understand how mean you have to be when it's a situation like that. You have to be self-driven. There's nothing else that matters but you, and they don't
Right.
get that.
You
They don't
have
get
to
it.
be. What's that movie Denzel Washington made when the last
Oh, the
days
Book of Eli.
book? You got to be the Book of Eli.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
where it's going to be.
Trust nobody, and you're
Right.
your own self-supporting. That's the same thing where we're in a smaller sense when you got people out here trying to defend themselves because you don't have the right, nor does the police or the government have the right to protect you. So you have to have some semblance of self-protection. I don't care if it's pepper spray, aspeton, those stun guns, taser in particular. But whatever it is, you need that. You need to be versed on it. You need to be able to use it. And that is the lifestyle of the Second Amendment more so than what we're even going to talk about. What we're talking about is an overall thing where we have categories in it. And I know you're going to explain that in a little bit. But at the same time, your everyday lifestyle, what you do in relations to gun ownership is what's more is an individual, what your lifestyle is.
And basically, we're going to break it down in 3 different groups. The same as the way the NRA does it. You got the collector, you got the shooter, and then you got the politician. So all 3 of those things you can support the Second Amendment with, and help try to preserve the Second Amendment. And what basically the collector does, that's a person out there that I was a collector when I first started out. I mean, I bought one gun and I got the bug, and that was even in California. And I bought everything that was under the sun, even if it was crap. I bought it because, I paid a good price for it. You get it for like a couple $100. You're like, oh, I'm keeping this, even though if it, remember the P90s, P89s? I had that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, but you got everything that you wanted, and you got out there, and you made shot. And the funny thing about the collector is when they go to the range, they're going to have like 12 different guns. So they're like, I'm going to shoot all these.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Just because I haven't shot them in a while. You know what I'm saying?
5 bullets each one at least.
Right. And just to get them, then they go back and spend a week cleaning all of them.
Oh, a week. They're going home that night and cleaning those things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
I was a collector in Maryland before I left, and the only reason was because you can buy guns. I think they had a rule, even then it was corroding in reference to the Second Amendment liberties, but it was falling apart. And you could, a buddy of mine worked at a gun store, and he was FFL, and he said, "Man, why don't you become a collector?" I said, "I don't collect guns, I shoot guns." He said, "Yeah, but if you collect it, you can buy 10 guns a month." Oh, okay, yeah,
Oh,
make
wow.
me a collector. So I filled out the form. Yeah, basically I had asked permission and tell them who you were and why you're doing it. And that's when I was literally you got a status as a collector. It was under FFL. So as you had FFL, unlimited, and then collectors, you can get up to 10 guns a year.
Wow.
10 guns a month. You can buy 10 guns a month.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
crazy.
not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad at all. So, and the collector also, now they got different types of collectors. They got some of these guys who just collect class 3 stuff, machine guns. You got some guys just to collect just the World War II era.
Right.
Then you got the Vietnam era guys. You got the collectors of history buffs. I knew a guy who had every M16 all the way from the Stoner all the way up to, well, at the time it was the M16A2. He had them all. It was like that whole collection he had, and they all worked. And they, even the original ones were fully automatic.
Wow.
And yeah. And so you'll have that. You'll have some people that just collect all the modern stuff. So you have a bunch of guys who just collect the MP5s.
And
I
you
mean,
have
it's
guys that
just
collect everything, like you were saying. Just anything that comes across their path, they'll buy it. From a Raven to what's that? A 1911 that is tricked out. It's just their hobby, so to speak. So that's the difference, I think, in a lot of cases. Like for me, I don't see it as a hobby. I hear people tell me all the time, they say, "Oh man, you got a great hobby," and I'm tired of arguing. I'm too old for arguing all the time now, so I let it go. But in days going by, I'm like, this is not a hobby. This is a life and death situation.
Right.
What I'm dealing with is staying prepared. And then as a police officer, I was staying prepared for the inevitable day that I had to deploy a firearm against somebody, that I make sure that somebody that's the one that's the aggressor is the only one that gets hit. So I have to keep a proficiency up. So it's not a hobby. Golf is a hobby. You can get hurt.
that was a lifestyle. That was a life
Right.
and death lifestyle.
Exactly.
Right.
It's a
right,
life and
right.
death lifestyle. It's the same as I look at people who practice martial arts. That becomes their lifestyle. It's not a hobby. That's something that if somebody should attack them, they can defend their life with.
Right.
Hobbies are like playing Uno, board games. Those are hobbies. Those are things that fishing is a hobby, and it could be a lifestyle. So I was trying to explain it to people. Like if it ever comes to a time where you're out somewhere and you're stranded and you don't know how to fish, you're shit out of luck, and you're walking past a lake or you're in a river area, that's your problem. But if you know how to fish, and you know how to fish with primitive tools, and you can fashion, a shoelace or some twine that you find, and learn and catch a fish, that'll keep you alive.
Right.
So those are things that, some things that are hobbies that also, and then again, as I mature, I understand where the person's coming from when they say, "Oh man, you got a great hobby," and it's like, yeah, I got you. Because if you look at it, you're a motorcycle race and you go out on these tracks on the weekend. That's a hobby. You can lose your life with that. But at the same time, I think that firearms, personally, firearms and Second Amendment being a lifestyle is more of a lifestyle than it ever would be a hobby.
I just hate it when you had a collection of guns. They always say, "Oh, you got an arsenal." It's like I hate that word. I was like,
Yeah.
I have a collection. I don't have an arsenal because the word arsenal means that you're a nut, a gun nut. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
yeah, but then if you look at the word arsenal in its traditional sense, and if you go to Webster Merriam,
It's
it's
an
a
arms room.
facility, and it's a
Yeah, it's an arms
facility
room.
that's going
Right.
to write arms room, but some place that can outfit more than one person. All of
Right.
these right here, whether it's 50 or one, they're for me. You
Right.
follow me? So that I don't have an arsenal. I don't loan. I don't sign any guns out. It's a personal collection of my own, and I agree with you 100%,
Mm-hmm.
man. People ask me all the time, and the same thing I just said. I have less than 50 and more than one. That's the
Right.
best answer I give them.
I lose count.
Yeah,
I don't
I
even
don't
know how
know.
many I have.
I don't know,
Yeah,
but
I
that's
don't
the best
forgot.
answer I get. It could be
Yeah.
75, it could be 100, but
Yeah.
I don't narrow it down. If I needed to do an inventory on my own,
It's nobody's
I can do
business.
that. But that's
It's
the one.
nobody's business.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
one.
you'll see the one I have, and that's
Hmm.
all you need to see. And if you approach me wrong, you may see it spit a little bit,
See it from the muzzle end.
right? And that's all you'll see is that flash of light.
Exactly. The smile.
Yeah. So and then we have the second one, the shooter.
Hmm.
Now, I became a shooter too after I became a collector. I was going to the indoor gun ranges, and you go there and you pop some rounds off. We didn't have outdoor ranges in California, so we had to go to indoor. And back then, it was only what they charge you like $6 an hour, something like that. It was pretty cheap. Ammo was cheap, $9 a box, 9 millimeter, and sometime you get it for 7. Everything was cheap back in those days.
Right.
So you go to a range. Then I found an outdoor range you can go to that was owned by it was a state land, what they had in the hills. You can go up there and drive up there and shoot. It had about a range of about 300 yards. I shoot the most in the gun out there a lot. And it was kind of trashy, you know what I'm saying? Because the state didn't keep it clean. And but it was a way that you didn't have to pay, and you could bring a group of people out there and just go shoot.
Right.
And that's just for the whole, the average shooter. You know what I'm saying? Then you got people who almost like martial artists, guys who get out there and they train, like Instructor Zero and a couple other instructors. They get out there and train hard every day, going through thousands and thousands of rounds. He never shoots competition because he's training people in real life.
Right.
And then you also have the competition shooter that goes out there and shoots a recreational shooting and just goes absolutely nuts in the game. And I mean, those guys are some great shooters, pistols, rifles, shotguns. I mean, they're some of the best you ever seen out there. And so you have so many different classes
Right.
inside each of those divisions.
But a lot of those guys with their sponsorship and deals that they make that a living. They make a living from it. So when you make a living from it, you support the Second Amendment only based upon making money.
Hmm.
So, but again, some of them were there before they become sponsors. So you got to look at that. But then there's others that we've had, and we've seen them. And, we've seen a few in the recent months that made responses or made statements that were totally opposite.
Oh,
Total agreement for anti gun
gun.
movements and things like that. Made
Hmm.
some alignments with them, and people are
Hmm.
shocked. People are shocked, and they're like, "Oh, I can't believe that he did that." Well, he got paid to do it.
Right.
So there's your Judas, because those silver coins or gold coins will change a lot of people's minds. So you thought that was your favorite instructor, sell out, and then he's on the other team.
Hmm. Yep. And you will see a lot of that. People will sell you out. They act like they'll sit up there and be talking guns with you the whole time until you say something the wrong thing. And they're like, I don't feel that. I think what's the favorite word they always say? I believe in sensible gun control.
Right.
And as soon as somebody says that, they're anti-gun. This
Well,
this
let me hit you with this one. We got the we've been moving along for a long time, and then we get this influx of new people coming in, and they want the guns, but their mentality is the old is still guns are bad. So they're owners of guns, but at the same time, they haven't changed their mindset. So
right.
in
That
essence, they're still dealing and moving in the same ways they were before because they don't believe that it'll ever happen.
right. Right. And yeah, a lot of people don't believe it. I can say the same thing about back in the 80s when a lot of the gun stores in California said the same thing. They said gun control never happened here. And look where it's at now in California. Yeah. So you can say it would never happen because it will happen. It's just a matter of time. And if you don't wake up to it and try to preserve it, most of the avid shooters, most of them, I say, man, what do you think about 80% of them, 80, 90%? Some of them maybe that supports the NRA and supports the Second Amendment. Well, they don't support the NRA anymore because they got some problems.
Right. I
But
don't
some
think,
more supports the Second Amendment as the Constitution of the United States.
yeah, I think a lot of them support the point that that's where they make a living. And then on
Right.
top of that, that's at the top levels. And the guys in the middle are just like to play the game. That's the same as the guy that goes and gets his hunting license every year. He's not supportive of the what's it called, the DNR or the Department of Natural Resources, but he needs them because he needs the license. And I think that's a lot of those competition shooters because you and I both know many of them who once the competition is over or once the training is over, gun goes in the bag, they zip it up and it goes in the trunk. They
Right.
don't EDC at all.
Right. Yeah, I know. I know it's a lot of competition shooters that don't carry concealed at all, and that's to me that's a waste because you got a skill,
Right.
and if you have a skill that's that precision, that precise, you should at least carry because you might be able to use that skill not only save your own life but somebody else's.
But some of them
And
don't believe that in the self preservation and things like that. And I understand because a few that I know, they don't live in urban centers. They don't live in any metropolitan areas. They're out in the sticks. So I can understand where they're coming from. But once you're targeted, it doesn't matter where you are. And the thing is, you go all you have to do is let your scent get on one of these hound dogs, and they come looking for you. And when this whole thing, if it ever collapses or you out there by yourself, you're gonna change your mind real quick.
right. So what we're gonna do? We're not going anywhere, but we're gonna say welcome to Two Alphas Talk. We're being broadcast on Twitch, Two Alphas Talk YouTube page, and Facebook right now. Saber Team Tactical LLC. So, and we're gonna run our logo here real quick. All right, so we get back into the what we're talking about. Basically, is the Second Amendment lifestyle, and we just covered collectors, and now we're in talking about shooters now, and competition shooters, and recreational shooters, and you got Olympic shooters. I remember that lady from the Olympics. She that shoot skeet.
Yeah.
She is a powerful Second Amendment supporter. I mean, but every time she goes to speak, they don't put her on the TV.
Right.
Yeah.
But
So
that's the other thing too. Like your recreational shooters, your trap and skeet shooters, you got precision bullseye shooters. All those different games that people play. It's not necessarily designed for self-defense, but it's a part of the Second Amendment because you have to use a firearm in order to do it. So I see a lot of people who are involved in those games. They feel the same way we feel. You know,
Mm-hmm.
regardless if you're a tactical proficient or you're somebody who's just, you know, interested in marksmanship. had a guy just recently who is a great shooter. He was really a good shooter, and he was shooting a 380, the Smith and no, the 6 hour, the one that's the break. It looks like the PPK. But I don't know the
Oh
model
yeah, I
number
know
and
what you're
stuff.
talking about. Yeah,
Yeah, it's nice,
yeah.
nice old gun, but
Mm-hmm.
it served his time, and he was shooting that, and I'm telling you, he was crushing it. But he didn't have
Yeah.
any understanding of practical sense of it, and that's what he came to me for. So I'm working with him
Mm-hmm.
with that. But his marksmanship, sight alignment, sight picture, trigger manipulation, all that was great. And he told me he's gone to the range a few times. His dad was a police officer of some sort down in Florida, and he learned. I think he said when he was
Marksmanship. Yeah.
12. Yeah, he was 12 years
Yeah.
old when he first started shooting. So he
Right.
can do all that, but it to now switch over to become more proficient in, say, reloading or getting off the X and things like that. Just all the manipulations that may occur in a real life situation. And we all know, you know, majority of gunfights are fired in 7 rounds. You know, both parties shooting, and we got guns that hold 15 to 17 rounds each. So
Right.
there's no, you then more than likely you'll never have to reload. But
Right.
we want to practice those skills just because one, they look good on the gram. You know, you see me always do that. I just reloaded, bro. You didn't see that. Watch, I did it again. See, you didn't see that. That's how
Right.
fast I
Right.
am when I
Right.
reload. You know, so it looks good for the gram, but these are also skills that people need to learn for whatever reason. You know, if you
Mm-hmm.
wind up on TV and you got a elongated gun battle because you're trying for the next John Wick movie, you got to get those magazines and get that flip. You got to get that flip in there, especially
Oh
if you're
yeah,
just
the
shooting a
flip.
Glock.
Well, nowadays things are a little bit different than what they used to be. If you were the victim and you defended yourself, the criminal would run away. Nowadays, they stand their ground and they throw right back at you.
Oh
You know?
yeah,
Yeah.
and the crazy thing is, we got guys going out here now that they're basically breaking into cars and stuff, and they're coming in armed.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
those guys in years gone by, they were just crackheads. Just a
Right.
guy that just wanted a few your change out of your car or something valuable, possibly that you left in overnight. Now these dudes are coming in, 4 and 5 deep, and two of
It's
them are armed.
it's becoming a profession
Yeah,
now. Yeah.
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 And they're taking it that way because you're talking about 3 o'clock in the morning, dude. Three
Yeah.
o'clock in the morning, seriously? The
Yeah.
middle of the week? You got nothing
Right.
better to do than this?
Right.
You know, I'm on Nextdoor and I see the videos all the time, and then different camera systems have their own little communities. You go look at those things, and it's like, this is crazy. This guy's armed,
Right. Yeah. So
breaking into
it's
cars.
that's a whole nother subject right there. But
Hmm. Next time.
and you got to make that decision on your own. But I
Hmm.
want to get into the political side
Right.
of 2A lifestyle, and this is one that I hold dearly. I myself, I've been a collector, a shooter, and now I'm political. And the reason being, I became political because I saw what happened in California. And a lot of people kept saying it would never happen here, it would never happen here. What happened there in California, it came into a reality in another country called Australia. And where the people willingly, nillingly, well, it's not all of them. Some of them they fought back.
Majority rules, bro.
Right, majority rules, and they didn't have a Second Amendment into their constitution. So they rounded up all their guns and they destroyed them. And now they kind of wish they had them because what happened there in their state with COVID, they had COVID camps. Well, we probably need to use a different word for that, huh? The sickness. They had different camps because YouTube might kick it off.
Hmm.
They had different camps.
For the
They
big
put people,
cold.
yeah, they put people in, and they was taking people to jail for not wearing face coverings. It was all types of things. Even Canada was doing the same thing, and it was just ridiculous. They couldn't. They tried to do it here, where they were going in, a lot of the churches and stuff, you had law enforcement going in arresting pastors and the whole, all the people in the church and stuff for just trying to
Worship
honor
on
their
on
faith.
right, exactly.
Right.
But that's the why we won't have a wholesale situation like that. It's only because there are people that are willing to defend individual citizens, unlike the government will. We do have people who are willing to do that. You and I both have talked about it before, where if you're out and about, you got to kind of slow and kind of take in as much information as possible. You're watching somebody get robbed. Do you get involved or not? That's a case by case situation. You hear somebody say, "Hey man, I told you give me my money before, and now you haven't given me." I'm staying out of that. Them two know each other.
Because you
trust-
don't, and you
you
don't know
right. You don't
the
know the
the
background.
what, the backstory.
Yep.
So just stay out of, call 911, keep a step and describe who and keep it moving.
Yep.
You know?
But there's other times where you actively see a guy getting his ass kicked, and he looks like a guy that just was walking and minding his damn business, walking his dog, and here comes some miscreants jump him. You gotta make a case by case situation for that. Now, will I get involved if I can't shoot him? I don't know. 'Cause now I gotta
Right.
get my clothes ripped up.
Well-
If I don't have anything else to fight with, I got
But
no
it-
baton, no knife. I'm just gonna go up there and hi-ya.
And you don't know what this guy's strength is until you touch him.
Exactly. And he might be
Yeah.
crazy. He might
Right.
be on drugs.
He could be
So
jacked
That's
up.
another situation. But at the same time, do you just walk on by and ignore it, or do you kind of? That's the type of problem that people like us have.
I'm not going to pull my camera out and start videotaping and start so I
No.
can put it on Twitter, but I'm going to pick up my phone and call 911. I've seen an incident like this before. I was driving down the street somewhere where I, close to where I live, and I saw it was two. I think it was two guys. I think it was I can't remember. It was a man or a woman, or I just remember it was two people fighting, and had parked the car, and they was out in the street just going at it. Boom. Everybody was driving by. I got on the phone, called 911, pulled up ahead about a block, described them both, and told the cops get here, and because they still going at it, and gave them my number and took off, But I'm gonna report it.
Dude, you could have got like $4,000 for that video.
Oh yeah. Nah, they don't
know
give
you
you no
like
money for no videos anymore.
Back then, you could have.
Oh yeah. So, being a political Second Amendment component or advocate is a person who will get on the internet, write your congressman, call your congressman, and be concerned about the bills and things that are coming up to go against the Second Amendment rights.
What about showing up at rallies?
Showing up at rallies.
Insurrections.
No, yeah. Not that rally. That had nothing to do with the Second Amendment. But they can show up at different rallies, join an organization or a club that is actually fighting for your Second Amendment rights, not a social group, not a group that you go and meet and shoot and where you guys can find dates from. That's not the place. If they're not pushing to preserve your Second Amendment rights somehow or some way, then that group is not a Second Amendment political supporter. Okay? But because they can be getting up there, and the next thing you know, you sit up there and you come to one of the your events. Oh, we're gonna have a political speaker come down and talk to all you guys. And guess what? It's gonna be that Democratic politician who's against guns, but they're coming to you because maybe your ethnicity, you're all a minority group, and they need your vote. And you'll vote for them because they look like you. And not realizing what you're doing. You're becoming an oxymoron because you're voting for your own rights away.
And
You guys got
your interest.
You're voting against, that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
And so you guys got to really pay attention to that.
But you know what? I see a lot more people who are waking up of all hues and saying the same thing. Regardless of whether your daddy or your mama was a red team or a blue team member, they're starting to recognize that they're looking for people who will benefit them to represent them in politics. And I think that's one of the bigger things that's happening now is that we are seeing more and more people asking questions and getting the right answer or waiting for the answer. Because if they don't get the answer, they say, well, that's not the answer I was looking for, or you haven't answered my question. And you see a lot more of that because it's not people are not just going along to get along anymore. Because this country in particular, say this with just real quick, the status of what's going on in the world today. We're done. We're tired of this. You know,
Right.
we've been the big brother for every damn world, and we haven't had a break in almost 40, 50 years. So it's time to settle down, and a lot of people, I hear it, a lot of folks all over the spectrum are like, let's just pull back and look after our own. We have veterans that are coming back from these different excursions or wars who are in bad shape, and nobody's reaching out to help them, and we're going to send another batch over to help somebody else out.
Right.
It's getting to
Yeah.
be the point where we don't have the appetite no more. We're full.
Right. So basically, what you're trying to say is look at your local level. Look who's running in your districts. Look who's running in your house. Look who's running as your governor. And make sure they're supporting your Constitution. And if they're not supporting your Constitution and they're talking about, you can listen to a lot of them. There's one young lady who wants to run for governor of the state we live in, and the last thing she said is she wanted to get rid of all ARs. So how is that a Second Amendment component for a free state?
Right.
So, and you got people out there who are looking at this lady because they look the same as she does. And they're saying, okay, we want her because she'll be the first in this state, not realizing you're getting ready to put somebody in office that's going to destroy a whole state.
And see, this is
Destroy
the
it.
problem. This is the biggest problem that what you just said, that a lot of people will counter what you said with, she can't do that. And the thing is, it's not this. You look at the politics right now, the board, I don't give a damn whether it's red or blue. You look at the politics, some of the things that have been put in place 20 years ago by the red team and the blue team is bringing it across the finish line. All right. So if she's able to get in and plant the seeds, and those seeds go underground, or they sit somewhere and nobody pays attention to them within 4 or 5 years. Think about this. Most times when we see presidents get in office, and we're going to take it from the highest level, president gets in office, whatever that previous president has done in the last couple of months, he immediately gets rid of because he can see those. He knocks it out. People are complaining about what Biden did when he got in with the oil pipeline and all that. He cut it. A lot of things that the previous president put in, he cut them out right off the top. That's because they know,
Right.
if they let that stuff sit there, it will grow. It will come to fruition. So a lot of these guys, like just recently, Biden was talking about some kind of energy plan that is going to take place in 20 years from now. And you say, well,
Right.
you got 2 more years, bro. No, but he's planting
Right.
seeds because this, as much as we like to say, see the red team and the blue team, it's a bipartisan.
Oh.
It's government.
Oh,
Government's
hold on. I'm about to hit the red team. I ain't done yet. So, first, because we got the red team, the Republicans. We got Republican rhinos. We live in the state of Georgia, okay? For 4 years, we've been harping for constitutional carry. And every time they open the House and the Senate up to vote, they never bring it to the floor. These clowns waited 4 years until another governor re-election. And the only reason this clown governor brought it up because he's trying to get support to get votes. That's the only reason he brought it up. And that's the only reason that the Republican
Newsflash.
Party,
That's what they do. It's called
that's what they do. That's what they do. But see, but if he had been a good governor and the Republicans, instead of them looking at their own pockets, they would have did this the first year they took power. The first year, they should have brought it to the floor, knocked it out, and made everybody's like, okay, now this is a reason for you guys to vote for us again because we're doing something. We shouldn't have to push you to do something.
It's
You know?
2022, bro. Did you know that?
Yeah,
There's
I know
there's
that.
no more good politicians. It's
No,
2022.
there's not.
So
Yeah.
let me hit you with this one. He also cut the tax in the state of Georgia. I think
The
it's
fuel
down-
tax. That's
the
only
fuel
7
tax was
cents.
29 cents. No, it
It's
was
29 cents?
29.
Oh.
After when it's all said and done, it'll be 29. But the current prices of gas won't go down immediately because the gas stations already bought the gas with the
Right,
tax
right,
on it.
right, right,
So
right.
they got to get rid of that, and they got to get paid for that. So you'll still see, that 29 cents tacked on. So it will go to $4, let's say, within a month or so, right? But that's based upon earning your trust and your feelings that he's done something. Because
He's-
if he had done it and he first got into office, you would not remember that. He'd
Oh,
have to
hold
remind
on,
you
man.
of it.
Hold
He'd
on.
have to- go ahead.
You remember what this clown did during COVID? And a lot of governors did this. Our concealed carries permits, weapons permits. Remember, they put a moratorium
Right.
on
Because they
them.
have nobody to film.
So you could have did it online. Everybody could have worked them from home. They
No,
could have
you
did it
had-
online.
You still had to get the fingerprints. You still had to get the paperwork
Dude,
signed off.
people
I
like
understand.
me that were renewed, you know how I renewed? Online. I didn't go in to renew.
See what you just said, the renewal.
Right.
That means you've already had a background check. And
Right.
As long as you hadn't been arrested.
And
you
that's
can go
all he
forward.
had to say was all.
What about the new people? What about the new people?
They-
I have a guy in one of my groups, and he's new, and he waited some ungodly number, like almost 6 months, that he had to wait in order to get his first time. And then another guy was going for a renewal and the same thing, but it's in DeKalb County. So they felt that DeKalb County was dragging their feet on purpose. And, I did a little cursory look in because they asked me the question, and I looked, and it's kind of like, yeah, a little bit of both. Where they don't have the manpower or people in all in a physical building in order to do everything that you need to get done. But at the same time, 6 months is a long time. I mean, they get you to the future, like 4 months into the future after he'd been waiting for 3 months. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
he applied in January. They gave him and this after he waited, putting his application in November. By the time they gave him an appointment, it was somewhere in June.
Right. Well, I don't feel sorry for him because he should have got it sooner. You know what I'm saying? And
No, this was the renewal guy from the.
oh, he got a renewal and they held him off
the
like that.
renewal guy. The new guy was probably still
Now, where
there to this day.
what county was this?
D.
Oh, of course, the cab.
Well,
Come
hey,
on,
you
man.
can't tell a dude to move. I
No,
mean,
you can't.
That's where he lives. That's where he lives.
I understand, but I'm just saying that's a ratchety area. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
and their
it
government
what
is
it
jacked up.
is. And that's what it was.
Their
and
local
that's why-
government is bad.
That's why they both felt that they were dragging their feet. Because I put them on to a couple
Right.
of organizations that are here in the state of Georgia that they can, submit.
Oh wait, I think we got a call. Hold on a minute.
Omar?
Hey, go ahead,
To
caller.
accept, press 1.
Hold on,
to send
hold
a
on.
voicemail, press
All right, caller, go ahead. Who's it we have on the line?
Omar.
Hey, Omar, what's up? You hearing?
What's going on? One second, right? Can both of you?
Yeah,
both of y'all
Al,
hear me?
can you hear him?
Yeah, I got them loud and clear.
Yeah, he got you.
All right, okay. I just want to know because I was listening, and I had to renew mine as well during COVID, and I recall going online and then going through the process of this application, and then they gave me a date, but the date was after my
Wow.
my expiration date
Oh
for the
no.
for the gun. But this is what happened. I got a phone call in the middle of because at that time I was teaching at the elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
I got a phone call in the middle of class, and it was one of the clerks saying, "Hey, we see that your permit's getting ready to expire before your date. Would you like to come in before?" I'm like, "Of course." So then they scheduled it for a time when school was over. And I ended up getting it. Mine was going to expire somewhere in I think it was June 21st or something like that. So
What county?
I got it
is
in
that?
before that. That's Henry County down in
Okay. Well,
it's,
yeah.
McDonough.
Okay.
And I mean, I'm just saying, I know you were talking about, the cab and everything. And then I learned even from some people that the tag office in certain municipalities has another department where people can get gun permits.
Right.
I didn't know that.
They supposed to have separated
department.
all those departments for the whole state, and they supposed to have made them separate departments for each of the counties, and so that's all they dealt with was gun permits. So I don't know if a lot of counties did that. I know the county I live in, Cobb, They have it. It's been like that ever since I've been here. It started out in the marriage license department, and the people who fill out the marriage license was the same people who filled out the weapons permit. Then they changed it. Then they have its own office now.
Wow.
So yeah,
Marriage permit and gun
What?
permit in the same place.
Because Cobb was one of the counties that in the state of Georgia that was like, you got to, in order to have a home in certain
Yeah,
parts, you had
that
to
was
own
Kennesaw.
that's Kennesaw. It's mandatory that you
Kennesaw.
own a firearm in your house in Kennesaw.
At least one.
Yeah.
at least one.
And I talked to the police chief in Kennesaw. I met him, and he is 100% down with the Second Amendment, and he believes everybody needs to have a gun, and he has no problem with it, none at all.
Anyone that has a problem with it should understand that you can just look it up in a quick Google search or any search engine that you use. That the United States government has already ruled that the local police officers don't have any responsibility to their local citizens at all. At all. There's many cases that you can look up and see that the results of it, that the person was waiting for the police, whether it was a written stay away orders or writ of attachment against somebody, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter because you can't have a police officer individually sit by your house and protect you as your own bodyguard. You know, you could pay. There's a lot of these politicians, a lot of these so-called celebrities do. They have their own personal protection. So in that aspect, you have somebody that's there to protect you all the time. What the hell do you need guns for? I never have to go train again. I don't have to buy no damn bullets. I got these big oxes that sit out in front of my door, and they protect me. You know,
Right.
And that's the thing. When you listen to these politicians and you listen to these celebrities who are anti-gun, those are the people you got to look into what they do. Look how they travel.
Yeah, but most politicians and most celebrities who are anti-gun own guns. They just want you to give yours up.
I'd
Yeah.
imagine. I'd imagine. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing that would stop them from owning guns. And
Right. They have the money.
talking
They
out
have the
other side
means.
right. Talking out the other side of their mouth.
Right. But they'll do
Hell,
it.
they all the major ones that do any action movies, they use those implements in movies to make money, but at the same time, they
Right.
want everybody else to be disarmed.
Here you go. The guy who always say, I'm not going to mention his name. The guy who always says, I have a particular set of skills. That guy right there is a huge anti-gun
Look where he's
person.
from. Look where he's
Right.
from. Right.
And it was so bad that the Glock and several other firearms organizations will not allow, when he makes a movie, you notice they don't use those weapons anymore.
Use the Italian one.
That's right.
He always a lot of times he's always
Right.
using the Italian one because they don't give a damn.
Yeah, because they won't let him do it. Yeah, they'll sit up there and make money off these movies and shoot everybody in the movie from the credits, opening credits to the end credits.
And then, wow.
Then leave the movie theater, leave the set, and get out there and we need to ban guns. You know.
Right. And they're what's called the Newton naturalized citizens. You know, you were money there, and you got the nerve to talk, and now you want to bring it down. But I guess once you're in, huh?
Yeah, you're part of the elite. Right. Yeah, because they figure what's good for you is not good for them. It's not going to happen to them, and which is basically true. It won't happen to them.
Well, you mentioned it, Al, to me a few weeks ago. We were started talking about it as far as people who don't have the means. They go out and they save some money, and Omar can attest to this. They save up their money and they buy a decent firearm, say just a pistol, and they spend $400 or $500 on that pistol. Now they turn around and a lot of them are riding dirty, as we would say, because they didn't go get the licensing because they couldn't afford it. They didn't save $500 plus tax, so let's call it $600 to buy this gun, and then they turn around and you're going to charge them another $85 or some odd dollars to get licensed. So a lot of them believe, especially in the state of Georgia, they believe the folklore that as long as you carry it openly, you're fine. You don't need a license or anything, and that's not true.
That's not true.
But you saw it, and a lot of people did that.
I don't understand where that came from.
It's ignorance of the law. A lot of people don't realize what the law is because it's several other states in the United States that you can open carry and don't have to have a weapons permit or concealed carry permit. And not in Georgia, I know. But hopefully soon, when they sign the bill and when it gets passed, these people who barely can afford can carry those weapons. So we did a story on it, a show on it before when we talked about there's 29 states who has constitutional carry and concealed carry now, and well,
But you still gotta
constitutional
pass a
carry.
background check
They got
to
constitutional
buy
carry.
a gun. That's the key.
Right.
That
They
is
still got to
that is the
do a
key.
background
They
check
have
to,
to do
to
pass
own
a
it, to
background
own a gun. But now they don't have to jump through the paperwork to get the weapons permit or concealed weapons carry permit. Because, like a state like Iowa, matter of fact, I need to send, it just reminded me of something. But this, like a state like Iowa, they have to take they have to do a training. I think it's so many years. They have to do a qualification course, and then they can go in and reapply. That's just to renew. So for their concealed carry permit.
I guess okay. So and because I've been doing this, and y'all probably have also experienced it. Selling guns to people for, I mean, I've sold a lot of guns to people that do not have carry permits.
Right.
I've also sold a lot of holsters to people who did not come in and buy a gun from me, but just wanted a holster.
Right.
So it's one of those things where the people that have been the most into the whole, oh, yeah, we're going to get constitutional carry and all of that are people that, I'm gonna be honest with you, I really just don't think that they're really up to too much good in general.
Yeah.
Because the people that already were not really trying to be criminals, they just wanted the guns to defend themselves. It was really an automatic thing for them to say, if I buy a handgun, I need to get a holster.
Right.
And this is also a thing. I also need to get a box that I can put it in.
Right.
So it's really an interesting phenomenon where a lot and I mean there might be some people that maybe also work in gun stores and have experienced it, and not pawn shops, like a gun store.
Yeah.
Right.
Real
Um,
gun store.
there-
Right.
There's a difference.
Right.
And I mean a lot of good people come in, got everything they need. They just don't have a carry permit,
Right.
but they pass the background check
Right.
immediately. And I've
Right.
seen people come in that they were officers, they were this, they were and of course lying, some of them, but now I did this and I did this and blah blah blah. I was a Marine. And it's like, okay, put you in. It's like, it'll come right back, and then they get either delayed and some denied flat out. And it's like, people that are coming in and like, won't we get constitutional carry now? So that means I don't have to have a background check. And no, that's not what that means.
That's the caveat
it's
that most
same-
people
Right.
don't understand.
Right. It's the same as driving laws. People don't understand those either. So yeah, they're just gonna have to go out and read the law, or they're gonna end up getting arrested, and they go to jail. Then they lose their rights.
Right. And that's the thing in the ignorance of the law piece, where you now believe this because somebody, next door neighbor or your cousin or, your homeboy told you this. So now you believe it and you go and act upon it. And then you get caught up and then you turn around and you say, well, wait a minute, and that's not the truth. You have to find out exactly what the law is. And the key to this law is that having possession in the streets or walking around with it is one thing. Being able to legally obtain it is something else.
So that basically boils back. Yeah, that's true. But that boils down back to the title of this whole thing. The Second Amendment lifestyle is not just living it as a collector shooter and living it political, but you also have to spread the word on what the Second Amendment is in your local municipality, your city, your state, to other people who make them aware and share that information. And that's something that all people who are out on the range, who are collector shooters, if they support the Second Amendment, they need to be sharing this information with each other instead of trying to hold it to yourself and saying, okay, you over there, because I don't like the way you look, the way you dress, the way you smell, I'm not going to talk to you. But I know you're doing something wrong, but I'm not going to say anything. You know what I'm saying? Becomes friends with that person and spread the knowledge. And because what happens is we only become stronger if we share as a collective and understand what the Second Amendment is as a collective. We can, I mean, the politicians can't do nothing to us at that point, you know? But, you know, so that's what it's all about is we got to get in the trenches and just, if you tell one person, that one person tells another person, the other person tell another person. That's what these shows are for. That's what we're trying to do. And it just share some of that awareness out, you know?
Right. And that's the key. Is like if you understand something and you try to appreciate that and understand it, and you're trying to impart that to somebody else, that's where we kind of run in a lot of, because the other person doesn't want to hear it because everybody knows every damn thing.
Right.
So it's when you trip somebody up and tell them, hey man, that's not the way this works, they take offense. So I always tell people, go to some place that's factual, whether it's the government website. I've shown a couple of dudes on that Nextdoor group that I had to show them personally, like, look, read this. What you're saying is not true. And if you believe that, then you're going to get yourself in trouble. Not only you, but you're passing it on to other people who are reading these comments, and they may think what you're saying, because there were people liking his comment, and I'm like, oh, hold on, let me shut this down quickly.
Right. You're doing
right.
Yeah, you're doing exactly what I just said.
Right.
Did it work? I want to ask you one question. Did it work?
Yeah, I went to Georgia Carry and I paraphrased.
No. I ain't talking about what you did. Did it work and get through?
I copied and pasted, and people literally commented wrote, "Thank you, Al, for finding and for giving us the truth." I almost followed this fool.
Okay.
One brother actually said that to me. I almost followed this fool.
All right.
Think about it. What he was saying is much easier than what I'm saying. I'm gonna tell you the truth, and you may have to climb a mountain to get there. But this dude's just telling you all you gotta do is open your door and go outside, and you're fine. And I'm like, nope, you can't do that. No matter what you do in the state of Georgia, you need a weapons carry license. That's it. Whether you're carrying a knife or a firearm, you need a weapons carry license to be legit. So I'm telling him, this dude is saying, oh man, all you gotta do is put it underneath the front seat of your car. Okay, I'm gonna show you about that part. There's a part in there too, but you're taking the good parts, the easy parts, and not explaining to people. So if you put that gun underneath your seat, you're now messed up, because you get out the car and you put it in your waistband, you're illegal.
Right. And with that, we're gonna start wrapping this baby up.
Sounds good. Thanks, Omar, for chiming in, bro.
Yeah, thank you, Omar, for chiming in. Appreciate it.
Oh.
You're always the voice of reasoning.
My part in this is I'm at that gun store and I try my best to impart real knowledge and not the falsehoods. I try to correct a lot of that stuff with every person that I meet that comes in with any of that. And some people, they're foolish and they come in and they come in wrong and they have to leave, but the good people, they end up listening and they get some good stuff.
I'm gonna come down there and visit you one of these days. That's what I need to do. I always hear about this good place from Al. I'm gonna come down there and take a look. We're probably both down there and come down there and bump our ball heads together.
Hey, I'm there.
All right.
Forest Park Army Nation.
All right. Thank you again. Peace.
No problem.
So, I want to thank everybody for coming and tuning in and watching the Two Alphas Talk. We're on Twitter, Twitch, and live stream on Facebook. This episode was brought to you by Saber Team Tactical. We do engraving, we do firearms instructing, and we also sell tactical gear. Al is the lead instructor for Saber Team Tactical. He's also one of our best instructors we have. He'll give you some good private lessons, and we'll all work toward the collective to preserve and do one thing: support the Second Amendment. And we'll see you on that. Got anything you want to put out there, Ad?
Nah, that's a great one. We're defended to the last man.
That's right. All right. We're going to see you guys on the range. All right. And